Hi, my name is Jamie Little. We've been looking for a home for about 7 years like this, with property, sprawling land for our kids to run and play, for our dogs to run and play. And we finally found it. After looking and looking and looking, it finally happened a couple of months ago. After working with Compass SE, we found our dream home to raise our kids in. This is the home I know that our kids are going to have all their friends over and watch them grow and flourish over the next 10 years until they graduate high school and move on. This is the place, this is our home, and we're so happy it finally happened. I highly recommend Compass SE for how helpful and informed they are. Our realtor, we couldn't have asked for better, and the network that he is in and able to connect us anywhere we're looking for a home has just been essential, and we continue to lean on that, and I can't imagine working with another company, to be honest. Before landing our dream home, we did have a great home before. We were just in a different town and didn't have the property. And as you grow and learn and your kids get bigger and you gain more dogs, your priorities change and what's important. And to us, having a home like we were living in was important, but having that property, that space, that privacy that's ours, a park-like setting is really what we wanted. So that's really what we found. And it's certainly a big step up from what we had before. The advice I would give to somebody going from their first home to their dream home is just take into account what's important. Having more space in a giant house isn't necessarily all it's cracked up to be, because being a homeowner, there's a lot that comes with that, a lot of responsibility, a lot of things go wrong, and you're putting money in places that maybe aren't important to you. You get this giant house and you have all these empty rooms and you thought, well, that's what a dream house is, but you really don't use it. So make sure that you take into account what's important in the dream home. Is it a neighborhood? Is it living out in the country? Is it having property? Is it having neighbors? You have to think about all of those things. And maybe it's, you could get everything that you wish and hope for in 4,500 square feet instead of 10,000 square feet. That's something that I've had to think of, because you look at a giant home and you're like, oh my gosh, that is just the dream. It's sprawling and beautiful. And that's not necessarily where it's at and what ends up being the most important thing to you when you move. So I would take all those things, those considerations in when you're looking for your dream home. What makes this a home is obviously having my family, but it's also being in a neighborhood for us and having good neighbors that we can associate with, we can hang out with. And that's a lot of that was our realtor, Ben Jones, and he knows everybody here. So when we went and looked at the house that we just moved into, our dream home, he already knew neighbors. So he knew like how many kids they had and what the ages were. And that was big for us, because we've lived so many places where our 7 and 11-year-old didn't really have friends to play with, and kids play out in the street here. That was important to us. So there's a lot of things that make this house a home, and that's certainly part of it, but also having the property and the big, beautiful trees. And now what we're doing and making it our own is really making it feel like a home and not just a place that we live. To build generational wealth for my family means a lot of hard work, dedication, sacrifice. It's not having things handed to you. It's showing our kids that hard work can mean fulfilling your dreams, living in your dream home, living in a safe community, going to safe schools, good schools. It's all of those things, I think. My favorite room in this home, I would say, is probably the kitchen and the living room. They kind of flow together. That's where we spend the most time. We love to entertain. So feeding people, entertaining people, pouring wine, that's all in the living room and the kitchen areas. The one thing that I must have to call this a home is the security, the beauty of the property, curb appeal. Those things are so important to me. After traveling on a weekend, and I travel all the time, pulling up into our house and you just look at it and you're like, oh, this is why I do it. This is why I take the time away from my family to drive into this beautiful neighborhood and see this home in all its beauty with all the trees and just the way it's laid out, the lighting of it. That to me is like, okay, this is what it's all about. So we're closing on another investment property right now, and I believe this is the 5th home that we've worked with Ben Jones on. And we had our primary home when we first moved to Indiana about 7 years ago, and I think we're closing now on our 5th investment property. So he has been so integral in just helping us find locations. If we go on and we're searching for homes, he'll look it up right away and find out the details, positive or negative, and I think that's really important. You can look online and be like, look, I found my own stuff online, and it's just not what it's cracked up to be. I recommend Compass SE for many reasons, but first and foremost, Ben Jones, our realtor. I mean, I can't say enough great things about him, how awesome he's been. He's young, he's hip, he knows what's happening, he knows the trends. He's been in the market forever. He's been a realtor for so long that he knows everything everywhere. And I think that's so important for your realtor to take it to the next step, not just showing you a home, but understanding what the area is like and what goes into it and what's behind the house and getting those answers for you. Compass SE, dedicated, discreet, and driven.